we're recording. I think we're recording.
Probably already are. That's funny.
Oh yeah, you started recording.
I see it now. I think I just don't have the option to do it. Okay.
All right.
Cool. So sweet, man. How was your day?
It was good. It's busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, work's nuts. But where did you hear this idea? Just YouTube?
Oh, what? Doing just like a little Zoom?
Yeah.
It's just something I've been wanting to do for like a long time. So I kind of wanted to get into like I don't know, just start making like just kind of documenting some of my stuff that I'm doing real estate. Just kind of building off of that. So
Nice. I like it.
yeah.
Did you?
But also, what's that?
Did you do any notes?
I did a little bit, just kind of build off of what yours is. I figured just kind of go off and see where it goes. So just kind of, you can't brainstorm some stuff.
I was looking at that calculator you sent, and I was actually just reading an article on, like, so when you and Mike ran those numbers only work as an Airbnb, right?
Yeah, that's an Airbnb calculator.
But I mean, like, when you were looking at that, say like something happens unexpected, like say the recession hits and people aren't going to Myrtle anymore, could you transition that property to a long-term tenant and the numbers still work?
I mean, we would break even on it or probably, more than likely lose money a little bit, but not a lot. So like the mortgage on it's 4,000. And I mean, honestly, for each one of those units, we could get probably close to, I think, 2,000 actually. So I think we'd actually more be like at 6,000. So we'd probably about break even realistically.
Every unit's what, a 2-1?
I believe it's they're two twos. And then the top two units, it's like they're not huge, they're like 700 square feet, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. And then the bottom unit's pretty big. It's probably like, the layout's a little weird. But I think it's like a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and it's pretty big. It's probably like 1,000 square feet.
It's been an Airbnb or long-term?
They have it as a long-term rental right now, so which is good for us because I don't think they really. I mean, they got a good price for it for sure, but they're not seeing the actual potential that they could get, and it's undervalued right now. We got the leases, the tenants are actually like more long-term tenants, and so I've looked at it. They've raised the rent a little bit like each year, like 100, $200, but still like, being a block from the beach, both the top, it's all remodeled. The top two units are I think like 1,300, and then the bottom unit's like 1,400. So I mean, I think each of those probably should be closer to 2,000. So I'm not
Yeah.
like, super familiar with the rental market in Myrtle Beach, but I mean, a block from the ocean and a 2-2 seems like it should be closer to 2,000,
Yeah.
if more. So but yeah, they got a pretty good deal, man. Like prices have gone up a lot because I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they bought it remodeled or they did the remodeling. I'm assuming they bought it remodeled, and they bought it like 2 years ago maybe, or not even that long, for like 500, and we bought it for 770. So I mean, yeah, it's insane how much stuff has gone up. I just get the little like Zillow updates as well, and they just show like how much for like a zip code, how much stuff's gone up, and everything in the last year has gone up like over 20%. I'm sure the year before that, everything went up 20%. So when you're looking at numbers that big, it's showing like everything's gone up over $100,000 in the last year. So it's
Yeah.
pretty wild. So, and I don't expect that to slow down anytime soon, honestly.
Just this house, it's going up 100 since I bought it in November.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I think inflation's out of control. I think what they're doing with raising the interest rates is a good thing to kind of like basically try and slow down the housing market, which it's not going to happen just because of supply and demand issues. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing is I think people are thinking about it all wrong, which is good because it is going to stop people from buying, which we need. But people are thinking that the housing markets, like prices are going to come down. Like they're not going to come down. They're just, people aren't going to bid $50,000 over appraisal and stuff like they have been. So
Yeah.
like the way to look at it, at least that's how I'm looking at it, is, prices are where they should be right now, and they're still going to keep going up. It's just that the price of the dollar has been devalued. So I mean, like everything's going to go up. Like gas has already gone up, milk's going to go up, like bread's going to go up. Just like, $50,000 a year for a salary, 10, 20 years ago was a lot of money. Now it's, you can't live off of that.
Yeah.
So I
You
think
still
that's the biggest
follow
thing.
oil?
What's that?
You still follow oil?
A little bit just because, I think the world revolves around oil. So I mean, you can really see what's going on. It definitely correlates, but
I was reading today that OPEC's going to start producing 50% more. I mean, so you would think that would bring gas down a little bit. I guess we'll see. Um,
yeah, hopefully. A lot of
yeah,
times, gas prices and oil prices, like they correlate, but they're not directly dependent on each other.
yeah,
So, you can have an oil surplus and still have a gas shortage. And just, the price of production and everything else. A lot of it's taxes too. I mean, like different areas like California, like that's why it's more expensive in California because, well, I mean, a lot of issues, but one, they have a super high, tax on their gas there. And then two, they don't allow any pipelines or anything to go through there. So it makes transportation more expensive and they
yeah,
tax the transportation. So, I mean, a lot of it's, political and stuff. I mean, we can have cheap energy here. It's just they choose not to. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's just all policy, really.
The the capital you used for your Myrtle, that's from your Wilmington sale.
Yeah, like in a way. So, those two properties that I had in Colorado, I basically did a cash out refinance on those. Took that money out. I bought four properties in Wilmington, and then one of those properties in Wilmington I paid all cash for. It was like 70,000. And then I didn't even do anything with it. It was just like basically a tear down home and the adjacent lot next to it. And then after about a year or 2 years of holding it, not even doing anything to it, I was able to sell it just like by myself without an agent for 130. So I was able to take that whole 130 and I did a 1031 exchange. So I was tax deferred it into that Myrtle property.
So now you got three in Wilmington.
Yeah. So yeah, it worked out really good. I was able to take two homes, just the equity of those two homes in Colorado, and buy,
So you
you know,
took a $70,000 purchase and turned it into a $770,000
yeah.
purchase.
Yeah,
That's
man,
pretty.
it's sweet. It's just like that's the game of real estate, just kind of starts snowballing and compounding. So I'm hoping to keep doing that. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the property that we just bought. We're looking, I think, in the near future, once we get it all established and everything, probably like a year from now, the lot is massive. So I think we're gonna try and subdivide it. And I think the lot alone is probably like, $300,000 lot if we
Was that
were able to
calculated
subdivide it.
right? That if in a perfect world, all your numbers, let's say all your numbers on there are right, you and Mike each will get 4 grand a month.
We have different percentages. So I don't have the calculator in front of me. I just know the yearly number. So like I think
It
that's
says
like in a perfect,
yearly 45K, but that says
yeah.
total payment to partner.
Yeah, so like are you looking at it right now?
Yeah, it says percentage to partner 42%.
Yeah, I'm a 58% partner.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and Mike's 42. So mine would be like in a perfect scenario on that calculator is like 63 profit. So and Mike's would be
Just Mike alone is getting 3,700 a month if all these numbers, let's say, play out.
yeah, well, he's got a partner too. So I think his partner, our third partner, is 12%. Mike is the difference of that.
Is that Sarah?
No, it's his dad. His
Oh,
dad went in 12% with us.
nice.
Yeah,
Where
but
did it like when if I'm looking at this, it's the where is it?
I'll pull it up too. I think those numbers, I don't know. I've never done Airbnb before, so this is all learning experience for me. But I mean, it seemed a little too good to be to be real. So I mean, I guess we'll find out. I mean, obviously this year we're just trying to break even because we still have tenants in there. Next year is really going to be, we're going to see, and I'm sure there's going to be learning curves. But yeah, just from what I've seen on YouTube and different things, other people's podcasts, I mean, they're making over 25% cash on cash returns. And that's basically what
This is
those
close
numbers
to
say
that.
right there. What's that?
Yeah, you're almost at 20.
I know, yeah, it's pretty wild. And all just depends on how you run your numbers too. Another thing too, like on those people that are doing their numbers though, they're only putting 10% down because they're buying them as a secondary home. So we had to put down 25%. So our return, cash on cash return on investment, the percentage is going to be lower just because we have more skin in the game.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to pull that up too.
Dude, this interest rate's pretty good.
Yeah, we got lucky. We were supposed to get a better rate than that, but this is when the Fed announced they were raising rates, and then mortgages just skyrocketed. They went up like from 3.5% to 6.5%, like in a month, 2 months. So we were supposed to get like a 4.5 or a 4.9, but we were able to lock in a 5.5. So that's not bad. It's pretty good, especially considering the fact that it's not a primary residence; it's a triplex.
Does this
So,
mean you guys bought all the furnishings?
so the bottom unit comes furnished. On this calculator, it just puts in there like, just like if you're buying a single family home, like what does it cost to fix it up to have it rent ready?
Mm-hmm.
So furnishings 20,000 in there. That's money that we haven't spent yet. That's just money that I've padded into the numbers as an
Yeah.
expense, that a future expense. So yeah, like we didn't, our cash to close, it says on the calculator is like 230.
Yeah.
Um,
216.
it, yeah, and it was only 207. So we have like an extra, they're just kind of, these numbers are close, but they're not, 100%. And a lot of it's, guessing too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have a 15% management fee for our expenses, and then we have a 5% maintenance cost. So, I mean, um, and then they have 7,200 for utilities. I haven't really gone through the numbers 100% to where yeah, it's got to be for the year, 7,200 for the year.
Yeah.
So I think it says it has total expenses yearly at 97,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me see.
So if you guys are just going to retain the same property management company that's been maintaining it?
No. So, yeah, the whole closing thing was a crazy ordeal. So we finally got that done. Now we're trying to move on to like the second part of our business here. And part of that is we're each going to interview 3 different property managers. So Mike's going to call 3 different people. I'm going to call 3 different people. Before we started this process, we talked to some people. So we have one lined up already that looks pretty good. Like we like their website. Mike's, that's going to be one of his people that he's going to interview. And then we're just going to do our due diligence because I'm actually going through a huge headache right now in Wilmington on one of my properties. It's like it's a Section 8 property, and it's just been a headache. It's been a nightmare. I've gone through like 3 different property managers, and it's all from like they've been bought out, so they keep selling, and it's just a nightmare. So um, yeah, it's just rough. So yeah,
How
definitely.
how did you, Mike, and his dad, like, did y'all talk about like allocating duties or responsibilities, or was there any discussion of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for a while, so like I've pretty much done everything that you can do, and especially in the Wilmington properties that I've had, I have a pretty good idea of like, to be more proactive than reactive. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've definitely thought about a lot of this stuff already, and I'm sure there's going to be stuff that comes up. But as far as like since we're going to have a PM do everything for us, I mean, it's going to be pretty passive to where, there's not going to be like, we don't really need to like have a set business plan to where it comes like, you do this, you do this. Like, I think, Mike's dad's going to be more of a silent partner. And he's going to be, I think he's going to do more like, like some of the rehab type stuff if he wants to, and just kind of contribute where he wants. And then I talked to Mike. So we decided to manage the property just for the first year until the tenants move out. And then we're going to have a property manager do the Airbnb side. So I told Mike, I just don't have the personality to do property management stuff, like to talk to tenants, tell them they got to, we're not going to renew the leases, stuff like that. So, I told him he's going to deal with all the tenants, talking to them. And he said he's fine with that. And he's been doing that. He's been doing a great job. And you mean
Do
he
all the
runs his own
leases
business.
expire at the same time?
What's that?
Do all the leases expire at the same time?
No, one of them expires in November this year, and then the other one's December, and then the other one's the end of July. So we're getting ready to tell the bottom unit that we're not going to renew the lease. So we'll have all of August, which is still the busy season. So that's really going to give us like a trial run to see what our potential is. So, because right now, how we have our numbers, we have probably an average, like, because I mean, obviously it's going to be higher in the summer, probably get like 300, maybe more a night, and then the winter probably be like 200 or less. So like just how I ran the numbers on that calculator is 250 average with 75% occupancy. So I mean, we could be lower. That's why having a good PM is really important, you know what I mean, to make sure that we hit at least that 75% occupancy. And then, we're averaging at least, 250 a night. So, which I don't think should be a problem. I mean, we're a block from the ocean.
Yeah.
It's a nice unit. So, I mean, just from what we've been looking on, just scrolling on Airbnb, trying to find places. I mean, it's hard to find anything on the coast right now, vacation stuff. Like everything's super expensive. Everything's completely booked out. So I think our numbers are pretty realistic, but it's right now it's just a guess.
Are there any regulations on um, Airbnb one unit while there's still long-term tenants in the other?
That is a great question, and I have no idea. So, I mean, I think, different states are going to be have different restrictions and stuff. Airbnb is still kind of like the Wild West. They don't really have it figured out quite yet. And then also like being in vacation destinations like the beach. I mean, they've been doing short-term rentals before, 50 years before Airbnb ever existed. So
Yeah.
they're very lenient. And South Carolina as a state, I feel like is very lenient on stuff and probably more pro-business. So I don't really see it being a problem. Most of those areas in Myrtle Beach aren't, they're not like HOA or they don't really have any restrictions on Airbnb right now. And I don't think they probably won't ever. So ours was cleared and there's nothing on there saying that we can't do Airbnb. So, and by the time the tenants move out anyways, like even if they did file anything, like, I mean, it's just, there's nothing they can really do. They're going to be gone pretty much by the time we start renting the bottom unit out.
Yeah. So you didn't, I thought you did a HELOC. You did a cash out refinance.
Yeah, I did a HELOC too. So what I originally did was, I can't remember. I think interest rates were still pretty good when I did the HELOC. So I tried the HELOC first.
And this
Um,
is on the Colorado properties, right?
Yeah, on the two Colorado properties. So that's like when I started, prices started going up. Real estate started doing really well. I can't remember when it was when everything started going when I took those. I guess it would have been like 2018 or 2019 when I took those HELOCs out. Probably like 2019 because I think I bought most of my stuff during 2020, like during COVID, the Wilmington ones. But yeah, I did the HELOC first, and I just didn't really. There's a few negative things I didn't like about it. One is I could have, I mean, they still charge you like closing fees when you do a HELOC. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it still costs me like I did
No,
them
this
both at the
is
same
close.
time.
That-
Yeah, so
yeah.
So yeah, it's like to do a HELOC, it's like the same closing costs as it would to be to do a cash out refi. So it still cost me like 5 grand or something crazy like that. But I think there are credit unions or different places that have better terms, which I did it through a credit union, but I feel like you could probably find better
What
terms on
was the
HELOC.
amount of each one?
What?
What was the amount of each one that it had to be pretty high to equal 5 grand?
Oh yeah, it was yeah, I think it was like it was over 50,000 for each one. So that I took out a HELOC. Yeah. So that's another
That's
hard thing.
a lot of equity.
What's that?
So you had a lot of equity.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had a ton. So I bought the one for, I mean, we put a ton of work into them, me and my stepdad. The first one I bought right out of college was 93,000. And then the second one I bought was like a year later was 141. And they're both praising over I don't know. I don't remember what they were at the time, but right now they're both over like 300 or like around 300. So I think one's at like 273, the other one's like 320 or something.
Nice.
So, but yeah, when you do a HELOC, I think they want
80% of appraised value. So like
I
let's
think
look
at
at this
least
house right
80.
now.
Usually like I think it's usually like 75.
75.
Usually, I think, yeah, especially right now that rates are going higher and stuff, they view it riskier times. So, I mean,
Hmm.
everyone's gonna have different terms.
Yeah, I did see some at 75. It seemed like because originally I was looking at a cash out refinance, but then I got such a low interest rate, it'd be stupid.
Yeah, right now is not a good time to do a cash out refinance. That's why HELOC right now makes more sense. So,
Well, I'm looking at a HELOC versus a home equity loan because a HELOC, you're going to have more than likely a higher interest rate, and then it's going to be adjustable. It's going to fluctuate. Was yours like that?
yeah, it was. It's a certain it's like, 1 or 2 points above prime. But at the
Yeah.
time, prime was so low. But then they started messing with my rates and stuff, and the customer service was really bad. So and then interest rates were so low. I was like, why didn't I just do I just didn't know any better. But I was just like, why don't I just do a cash out refi? You know what I mean? Because like in my mind at the time too, I liked the fact that I had equity in my home, but like looking at it now, it's just like, I mean, I'd rather just have the cash and have more units than have equity in a home. Plus, like having equity in a home makes you more liable too. So, I mean, if you
Okay.
don't, if someone, I mean, there's lots of other ways around it, but I mean, like you should have like an umbrella policy, like for like $1 million. But I'm just saying, like, if you get sued, if someone breaks their leg on your property and they sue you and you have $300,000 of equity in your home, then you're going to get sued, and then the lawyer's going to say, okay, you need to sell your property, and they're going to attack your equity, right? But
Yeah.
if you don't have any equity in the home, the lawyer's going to look at it and say, this guy doesn't have any money and he's going to waste his time. And lawyers don't want to spend a bunch of time. I go and sell the property and I make $0, then that guy doesn't get any money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's like different levels. Like when you're just first starting off, like right now, like I own a lot of properties, but I don't have any money. You know what I mean? I mean, I have equity in my properties, but not like a lot. But I do have like umbrella policies, I have LLCs, I have different things. But I mean, there's just different levels. If you don't have any money, you can't get sued because what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't have any money. You can't sue me. So, and then, but there's the levels of protection, like an LLC is supposed to protect you, but honestly, just having an umbrella policy for insurance is the best thing to do. Have an umbrella policy, have your LLC, don't have stuff in your name. But there's different levels. Like as I'm getting like, more stuff and more money, then yeah, I'm gonna want to protect my assets better. Don't have have everything in an LLC name, have umbrella policies,
You
have
have one
stuff.
LLC or you have multiple?
Umbrella policies.
No, LLCs.
Yeah, I've got multiple. I've got one for my Colorado properties, and then one for my North Carolina Wilmington properties. But I mean, they're
That's just for tax reasons to have more than one.
no, it's just like, well, there's just a lot of different ideology in it. So it just depends on how you think. So like say you have 10 properties and one LLC, and someone sues you, they can go after all of those 10 properties, right? But it's a business. So there's, that's supposedly how an LLC is supposed to work is if you get sued, they can only attack the business. They can't attack any of your other assets. They can't come after you personally. They can only come after the business because
Right.
it's a separate entity.
Yeah.
But so say you have 10 properties and you have 10 different LLCs, then someone breaks their leg on one of your properties, they can
Yeah.
only go after that one property that's in that one LLC.
I get what you're saying.
But the thing is all my stuff is basically ran as like a sole proprietorship right now because like, yeah, I have LLCs that my business runs through. I'm just setting those up right now just for like when I get more professional and get better at this game, my stuff's going to be set up easier to transition into a business. But basically like, cause like you can get better loans by buying it as like an owner occupant, which it has to be in your name, right?
Yeah.
So like my properties are still, most of them are still in my name, but so like I have an LLC for them, but the property's in my name. So if I ever get sued, they can sue the property in my business, but it's called a charging order. So since I'm mixing my personal with my business, they can still charge through that and come after all my other stuff. So
A
um,
charging order?
I don't know if there's, I don't know how common that is or if that's ever happened or not, but I know it's a thing. Like I know you can do it. I'm pretty sure it's called a charging order. I could be completely wrong on this. Um,
Is that
but
called piercing the veil? Have you heard that?
yeah, that's what I meant to call. What is it called? Piercing the
Pierce-
veil. That's what it's not a charging order. It's called piercing the veil. So it's basically just saying that your business isn't ran like a business, it's ran like a sole proprietorship, and that you're mixing personal with business. So, but that's why you just have to have different levels of protection. And one of those levels of protection is just not having a lot of equity in your property. So,
But going back to the HELOC, when you were going through that process, did you look at all into a home equity loan, or that was never even on the radar?
that's what a HELOC stands for, home equity line of credit.
Yeah. So, but they're two different products. A HELOC is a line of credit, so it's like a credit card. But then a home equity loan is a loan. So
Oh, fixed
yeah,
loan.
you get a fixed interest rate, everything. So that's what I've been looking at is how
Yeah.
to leverage the equity in this property through a
Mm.
home equity loan to get into the next one. But from what I've been seeing, like you said, 75 to 80%. Um, so based
LTV.
on
Yeah.
yeah, so based on the current value of this house with my mortgage, if I was to take out a home equity loan today, it would only be like $30,000. And I was reading that most lenders won't even do a home equity loan unless it's minimum $35,000. Have you heard that?
I think you can do it lower. Yeah, I think 30 is fine. If you want to take 30 out, you could do 30. The biggest thing too, and like I have experience doing it, is you just have to call like 100 banks. Like especially when I was buying my like Wilmington stuff, it was during COVID and nobody was lending during COVID. So I literally called probably like 50 different banks. I called all the small banks. I just did a Google search and I wrote down every single bank, small bank, and credit union and their phone number. I called all of them, and then I would write a note. I was like, left message or didn't answer, call back. And I just had like a full notebook of all the banks that I called. So, and they're all going to offer different products. They're all going to have different terms,
Yeah.
different requirements. So that's the biggest thing is just calling banks. Like the first house I bought in Grand Junction, I called Wells Fargo. They denied me for a loan. I went to a mortgage broker, got approved for the loan, and then like a month later, Wells Fargo bought my mortgage. So I was like, okay, well, you guys denied me for a loan and then bought my mortgage. And then I actually went to them later on to do a refinance for it, like it wasn't even a cash out refinance. I just wanted to get rid of my PMI.
Yeah.
So I went to Wells Fargo, and then they said no. And I was like, this is the second time you guys are telling me no. It's like you won't even let me refi. I was like, this makes zero sense because I was getting a lower interest rate and I was getting a lower monthly payment because I was dropping the PMI, and they still told me no. So that's why I'm saying that. That's why people like mortgage brokers because they're just less strict with their requirements, but who knows? Like that's what I'm saying. Every bank has different requirements or different terms or who knows? I don't know. And even as far as mortgage brokers go, like, you know, there's good ones and bad ones, I guess. I don't know. Like I know they all have certain, requirements they send to underwriting, but I don't know. I feel like you could talk to three mortgage brokers all at the same bank and they can give you all different answers. So, and because I've been running into a lot of that stuff just with my debt to income ratio not being good now that I've got, like 6 properties. So
Yeah.
it's a lot harder to get loans.
And those Wilmington ones, you have mortgages on those, right?
I have mortgages.
On the Wilmington ones?
Yeah, yeah, I have mortgages on everything except for that one I did the 1031 exchange on because it
You have
was a
five
tear
mortgages.
down. What's that?
You have 5 mortgages right now.
6 now that with
Yeah.
that Myrtle one. So yeah, it's going to be really tough. Like I'd like to buy another property this year, but it's going to be super hard. So I don't think I'll qualify for anything, which is crazy. So, but that's another thing I'm going to start looking into. I do have one commercial loan on one of my properties. But I know it's easier to get approved for a commercial loan. So I think that might have to be the route I want to go into. Another thing I could do too is like, I could, I can't, I'm going to butcher all these terms, but it's like, quit claim or something. Just get
Quid
rid
pro
of
quo?
no, no, just get my name off the deed and then, put my LLC name onto my mortgage. But
Mhm.
there's that due on sale clause. I don't really want that. That seems a little
Yeah.
risky to me. But
That would,
what's that?
that would suck.
Yeah, yeah, especially since I have good interest rates and stuff. So I really don't want to. That's another thing I could do. I could like refinance those properties into a commercial loan, and then that would help my debt to income just because when you have like a commercial loan, it's off of your credit report.
Right.
So yeah, your commercial loans don't show up on your credit report. So but I don't want to do that because I have such great interest rates on my.
How'd you get a commercial loan on a Wilmington single family house?
They do that. Yeah, you can get a commercial. You can do commercial loans on residential properties. Uh-huh. Yeah, you're gonna have like a 5 year 5 year fixed 30-year amortization or 20-year amortization. I think that's the one I have right now. I have a 520. So it's an arm. It's adjustable rate after 5 years. Right. I'm not really sure. It's my first commercial one I've done. So I think I'm probably well, I mean, I think I have to refinance after the 5 years are up. So, because that's why they want to do it. They want, after that 5 years, interest rates could like might go up. So, which they have. So, you know, I might have a higher interest rate. That's another reason I don't want, I like that 30-year fixed, program. So,
Yeah.
but
So
I'm not really sure what I'm going to do quite yet on those.
so staying with the topic of you saying you want to get a property in a perfect world, another one this year, right? Are
Mhm.
you all in on Airbnb, or you have other asset classes that you have your eye on too?
So I would like to buy an owner occupant because I just rent right now just because I like to rent in a nice apartment. But I would like to buy a home just because you can get a home for 3.5, 5% down.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd like to do, but I just really haven't seen anything one that I like in an area that I like and at a price that makes sense. So I mean, they did raise my rent up a lot, so I'm paying like 1,500 now in rent, but still, if I bought a house, it's going to be like 2,000, 2,500 or more for
Don't you
something I
rent
want.
some home to some, you just rent out to strangers?
No, I'd live in it. Home to buy.
Oh, okay. That's what you're saying. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but the thing is like, I don't really want to pay, a 2,000 or $2,500 mortgage now when I'm only paying 1,500 for rent. So, I mean, it's just I don't know. So I mean, that's one thing I'd like to do. But the other thing I'd like to do if I'm not going to do that is do Airbnb for sure. Yeah, I'm all bought in on the Airbnbs right now. The numbers just work really well. But yeah, I would just do that vacation home loan package that they offer. It's like 10% down. Um, It's a lot better than 20-25% down.
So
So,
you've talked a lot about all the things that attract you to Airbnb. What are some of the main things that scare you about it?
I mean, it's a completely different world for me now. I'm not really, I'd say the only thing that's kind of scary for it is I'm used to like investing in um, like all the stuff that I bought was like, like $100,000 homes that are junk and I just fix them up and that's what I'm doing right now. But it's a lot of work. But the thing is this low risk. Like, I have 30-year mortgages on them. They're like $500-$600. So like I have one of them right now that's been vacant for for a year or 2 years, and I'm just eating $500 a month, but I don't really care because I know like a portion of it's going towards principal, the other portion I get to write off for my taxes, and it's already gained since I've owned it, not doing anything to it. I've gutted it out. That's it. It's gone up like $100,000, and I know that area is going to go up like crazy. So I mean, I'm fine with eating $500 a month, but so that doesn't really scare me. But the thing is, you buy $1 million property, which I want to start moving into, these more, like $600 million homes, that are going to get, $200,000-$300,000 of appreciation and that people actually want and that aren't going to be headaches. But the thing is, your mortgage on them is going to be $4,000 to $6,000 a month. So I mean, that thing goes vacant for a month, 2, 3 months, then I'm broke. I mean, I'm bankrupt. So I'd say that's the only downside that scares me right now. But
You've mitigated some of that risk though, because you do have partners in this one.
yeah, this one worked out perfect because it's a triplex. It's in a destination like yeah, so I mean this one is very good. Like I really like mitigating risk and I like taking risk, but like calculated risk. So I mean this one's just like it seems like a no-brainer because like our mortgage payment's 4 grand, you know, if we ever have to pay that, it's like, I'll pay like 58% of that, some 58% partner or whatever. And it's just like it's a little bit over 2 grand or something, so that's not bad. But you know, it's 3 units, so I mean, worst case scenario, like we could at least get a long-term renter in one of them. You know what I mean? So it's just there's just not a lot of risk in this one. It doesn't seem like, and I mean, in the area that it's at, there's always going to be people there. Even in the worst recession, people still have money. 2008, still a ton of people had a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, um,
So let's say, so I'm in the same boat as you. I want to get a property this year. All right. I'm thinking November, December. So we just said, based on the equity today, if I was to get a home equity loan today, I think I could get $30,000, right?
mhm.
Based on the bonus I got last year and my sales so far for this year, I'm my bonus that I'm gonna get in October is gonna be pretty good. So I'm thinking after they tax that, I'll have about 75 grand to play with at the end of this year. What would be your plan of attack if you had 75K to play with? What kind of property would you go after?
I would do an Airbnb, but I mean that's just me personally. But you mean you could do 10% down, so I'd be looking at properties. They have to be a single unit. You can't do a duplex or a triplex. That's why um for that vacation. You're familiar with that loan, right?
What do you mean? The triplex is 3 units.
We put 25% down on it. So
Okay.
we did a
So you
residential loan. Yeah, we did a residential loan, but we did 25% down. So the second home, like a lot of these, credit unions and banks and stuff, they'll do a second loan or your second home, like a vacation home.
mhm.
Um, and you only have to put 10% down, which is awesome. So, so
And it has to
no,
be a single family house.
what's that? Yeah, it has to be single family, which mean so the numbers, I mean, obviously like on a triplex are going to be better than, a single family. That's like we looked at a ton of homes and they were all single families and the numbers, I mean, we just don't have any experience in Airbnb either. So, we were nervous about the numbers on those.
If I feel like if Airbnb, the triplex is way safer. Like a single family Airbnb just scares me.
Yeah, that's how we were looking at the numbers and it was like I think everything that we were looking at was we were saying this would probably make 65,000 a year, like gross, but we weren't 100% sure. But the thing is like what's, you know, so let's see, our like, around, your payment's gonna be around 4,000. I mean, that's, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, times 12 that's 48,000. And we're saying, maybe best case scenario, who knows, like 65,000. So that only gives you a $17,000 window. And I mean, so like, you know, you're not going to make any, you're going to lose money because, you have to pay a property manager, or you're going to have to completely manage it yourself. You still have cleaning fees, which I guess you can add on cleaning fees, but there's still going to be maintenance, stuff breaks, water, your roof, repairs, different things. So the numbers get a lot tighter. So I don't know. I mean, the whole Airbnb game's new to me. I don't know what type of, numbers you can actually generate. But I think for that, it makes me nervous too. That's why we didn't buy anything until we found that triplex. It just seems like, you know, $65,000 a year gross isn't enough on, with a $4,000 a month monthly payment.
When y'all were looking, you had to put down 25%, or you could have put down minimum 20?
No, we wanted to put down 20. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like everybody has different terms, but I think I mean, I called a lot of people. I probably called 20 different banks, and and mortgage brokers, and they all had for 3 units. They said for a single unit, they would do 20, but for 3 units, 25 was the minimum that they would do.
Because if I have to put down 25%.
Well, you don't, you have to put 10 if you're doing a single unit.
Okay, but let's just say hypothetically, I didn't use that program, and let's say I found a killer deal on a duplex. To put down 25%, that would put it, I don't have enough capital.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why that's why the Airbnb model that these people are doing is so great, because your buying power is so much higher. Because, on a $600,000 home, what's 20%? That's what, like 200,000? It's $120,000.
Yeah.
So instead of putting $120,000 down, you only have to put, $60,000 down. So, I mean, half, yeah. So it just increases your buying power. So that's what's really nice about it, is you're buying a nicer asset for half the money. That's what makes it really, and that's why I'm saying, like, if I could do anything right now, it'd be to buy an owner occupant home, because I can put, 3.5% or 5% down, opposed to 20% down or 10% down. So I'm basically getting a home for like 10, 15, 20, $30,000, that I can move out 6 months from now or a year from now, and rent it out or sell it or do whatever I want. You know what I mean? So and anytime, like, I don't know, that's my motto, is just like, the less skin you have in the game, the better. The less risk you have, the less money you have into a property. And not everybody thinks that way. Most people probably don't think that way. But
so the 10%, that for the single unit, what program is that?
It's just called like your second. I should just Google it. It's just a secondary home, like a vacation home. Just if you're ever calling a bank, just ask them, do you guys do vacation homes, like a second home? So, and what's funny too, I've asked, so since I rent, I asked, can I do a vacation home, like a second home, if I rent and I don't own, and that you can. So that's, most of them told me I can.
So
So
what do you think the closing costs are on a $500,000 house? $25,000?
I think that's pretty standard. It's about what we paid. Yeah, about 20,000.
Okay, so if you say 25,000, let's say $500,000. Yeah, if you use that model, let's say I have $75,000 capital, put down 10% on $500,000 house, that's $25,000 in closing costs. So I can get a $500,000 house in Airbnb it with 75 grand.
Use that calculator that I sent you.
Yeah, I got it saved.
Yeah, just you can change all those numbers. Just plug those numbers in right now.
Mine says it's locked.
Oh, you have to save a copy.
Okay.
Yeah, where does it say that's locked at? Just that red thing? Just ignore that. The A. Just go ahead and try and change it right now. If you can't, just go ahead and save a copy, and then once you save it, you can edit it.
When I know you were listening to a lot of podcasts and YouTube on Airbnb, did they say anything, or how do you say it, like a lead time on, okay, you, like, let's just say, okay, I found let's just say $400,000 property, closed on it, got it. I'm ready to Airbnb it. Did they say how long the lead time is until you can expect I mean, I guess there's too many variables to,
Mm.
but you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I think before you can get it on the market and rent it out and have people in there, I think the
No,
biggest thing.
I mean, like, do they say about building into your numbers? Like, okay, it'll probably sit for a month by the time the marketing gains steam and you start getting traction and tenants in there. Like, do they say build in like a month of vacancy after closing on it? Do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, this is it's like I said, I have zero experience in Airbnb, so this is going to be a big learning curve for me. So I have no idea, but I would say, the first month's probably gonna be slow because there is a lot of marketing on it. That's what I've kind of heard too. Is like you need to take professional photos, you need to have them on there, and a lot of it's like an algorithm that like Airbnb runs too. So I don't know how they do their algorithm. I've heard the more active you are on there with like comments or responding or other people leaving reviews and 5 stars and stuff is really important for the algorithm. So they're going to show those people first.
The
But
vacation, the 10% vacation program. I'm guessing when they said, you say, okay, I'm buying this to be a vacation home. Obviously, you couldn't put a long-term tenant in your vacation home.
no, you can't do that. And a lot of them too have rules like you need to be there like 2 weeks out of the year or something like that, or be there 10 days or something. Like I mean, it doesn't have to be in a row. It could be like a handful of weekends or something. Because it's not an investment property. It's a vacation home, but you can still use the time that you're not vacationing there. You can use it as a rental.
Did in all the stuff you listened to, were there any thoughts on condos as Airbnbs? Because the
Uh,
main are cheaper, right?
yeah, people do condos. I'm just not interested in condos. I
Yeah,
mean,
not condos either.
I don't think I don't know. I'm sure I've listened to one podcast out of like the thousands I've listened to. One person like did them and did really well in condos, but I just don't like the fact that you don't have any control over your property.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you don't know where those HOA fees are going. They could raise HOA fees whenever they want. If they're stupid and they don't allocate funds correctly and a hurricane comes or whatever happens and you need to replace the roof, they could come up to you and be like, "Hey, in 30 days we need $3,000 or whatever it is from you, and you have to pay it." So, yeah, I just don't like. I just condos just seem risky to me, and I don't think they appreciate very well. I think really what I'm trying to get into right now is nicer assets that are going to appreciate more, and just bigger deals. Like I want to do a few more. I want to get like a handful of Airbnbs, maybe like 5. And who knows, maybe we'll have to see how this one goes, but I'm thinking like 5. And then I want to start leveling up. I might even sell my single family homes and try getting into like apartments or something bigger. So I want to just keep snowballing and just keep moving up.
yeah. So I got the calculator to work. So I plugged in 400K, 10% down. This has estimated closing costs at 2%. Did you put that in
No, 2% is accurate.
there? So that's saying eight grand. That seems so low.
For estimated closing costs at 400,000. Yeah, that's probably right. It's all the other stuff that they put in there. You know, um, I mean, I'm sure it'll pop up at the bottom. Let me see.
Some of this, like the setup fee, what is that?
Yeah, because you'll still have. I don't know.
Furnishings, get rid of that. Legal, I'll leave that.
Well, if you're doing Airbnb, a lot of them come furnished, but I mean, you're probably gonna have to put, it's expensive to furnish. I mean, you have to put nice furnishings in there. I was listening to one video, they're saying expect to spend like 10K in a room, which I think is probably absurd. I think probably, but I'm still thinking it's probably gonna be a couple grand per room.
I mean, we bought some nice furniture here, but I know our master bedroom, it was 10 grand.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I mean, on a master bedroom, you're gonna spend like 10 grand. Yeah, it's gonna be expensive. You know, sheets, bedding, the
Was
bed
like,
frame, a nice
wow.
mattress,
Yeah.
dresser, TVs for each room. So yeah, I mean, 10 grand's not unreasonable per room. Especially if you're buying, you know, a $600,000 beach home, it needs to be more luxury. So a lot of it too is like if you're not getting good reviews, then your Airbnb is dead.
Yeah, that's scary too.
It is very scary.
Hmm. I really like I was really in my head, I wanted, or I still do want to get a small multifamily, but I just don't think I have the capital to get one.
Well, it's just a completely different method than what we're talking about right now, because we're talking about, you know, traditional conventional loans. I mean, if you're getting into multifamily, the best way to do it is more commercial and creative financing.
Yeah.
So, like that deal that we saw in Myrtle, and I sent to you and Kirk and them. It was
Mhm.
that like the two apartments right next to each other.
Yeah.
Um, uh, that probably would have actually happened. I'm glad it didn't because it would have been a huge time commitment, but it was a really good deal. But that guy would have owned, you know, seller financed a large portion of it. So what you do is, you know, say I think he wanted like 1 million, 2 million for it. You know, you go to the bank and you can get a loan for like, you know, $1 million or something, and then so 20% down of the million, which they probably want 25, but we'll just do 20. So that's 200,000. So we just have to come up with $200,000, right, for a down payment. The bank pays the seller $1 million, and then he carries the other million. And then he just gives us, you know, like an interest only payment or something like that for like 5 years, or however you want to structure the deal. The people that he actually bought or like sold the properties to, they got an amazing deal. Like I can't remember what it was, but they did something like a 30-year lease option to like buy. It was something ridiculous to where they basically insane, like own the property. He was carrying the loan for like 30 years, and they're basically just paying him a set amount of money. That's what it sounded like anyways. And you know, they were basically able to manage it and do whatever they wanted, and then at any time they could, you know, just buy him out. So I'm not sure how much money they're paying him, but like when I saw the deal that like that he accepted from them, I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like it was, yeah, it was unreal. Like the deal that we offered him was way, way, way better, but he already had a contract with them. So he already accepted it.
Hmm.
But I mean, people do stuff like that. Like especially like in places like Myrtle Beach and stuff, it's all these small mom and pop people that are like, you know, they've mismanaged their stuff for years. Not a lot of people have really gone there for a while. You know, everything's underpriced. Their properties are like, you know, not as great, like they need rehab. So you can get like a 20 unit apartment down there or different places like that for like $1 million. You fix it up and it's worth 5 million or more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they're willing, since they own it outright, more than likely, because they've had it forever, they'll sell or finance it to you. You know what I mean? So you don't have to go to a
I'm
bank.
not on that level. I'm not on that level yet to where I'm like how you were saying.
It's a time thing. Yeah. Takes too much time.
Well, like how you're saying you have when we were talking about mitigating risk and
Mhm.
calculating risk,
Yeah.
saying how your Wilmington properties and your Colorado properties, you know, they're amortized over 30 years, so the note's $500. So the risk really isn't
No,
that great.
exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
there's
why,
there's levels. Yeah, there's
yes,
levels to
right
it.
now I'm not at the level where I'm looking at $1 million apartment. I'm looking at like $500,000 quad or fourplex.
Yeah, but it's harder. That's what's funny though, is like, so what we just talked about, like the $1 million, $2 million apartments, those are easier to buy, like to get financing. It just takes a lot of time. That basically has to be like your full-time job, because you got to find the property, which takes forever. You got to negotiate with the right seller, and then you have to like put in all of the sweat equity, you know what I mean? And there's some money there, but it's like a full-time job to do something like that. But so I mean, it is risky, but it's easier to get, a loan, and you can do it basically without having any money at all. You know what I mean? Like there's ways of doing it. Like Brandon Turner, Bigger Pockets, he talks about that with his first apartment that he bought. That's
Yeah,
basically
I got the book, Creative Financing. He talks
uh,
about it. Creative financing is just having different tools in the toolbox and being creative on how to use them.
yeah, for sure. But you have to have time though. That stuff is just so time consuming. But what's funny though is like, but what we're talking about, like the residential stuff, the single family homes, not as time consuming, definitely more passive, definitely safer, but you need way more money to do them. You know what I mean? You need 20% down. So, it's like it's just different. So, but that, like I said, like there's different levels. Like I want to get into bigger things, but I'm going to need more time. So I want to get, a couple more of these Airbnbs. And if I can get enough passive income to where I can just do real estate full time, then if I have all this time, then I can start getting into these bigger projects. And I'll definitely start off smaller, like, like 20 unit apartments and stuff, because I feel like the level of competition isn't as high in those. Because I feel
Yeah,
like after you do one 20 unit apartment, you have the experience. You're like, oh, well, I can just do a 50 or 100 unit apartment. You know what I mean? So I feel like the people that are in the 20 unit apartments are like the amateurs of multifamily, like 20 units and under. So,
yeah,
um, but
less competition.
what's that? Yeah, yeah, that's what I think. I think there's probably less competition for those like 10 units, but it's going to be way more work. So, and less profit. So, I mean, why not just jump into like 100 unit? I mean, you could, but especially if you have the time to do it, networking and stuff. Um, but I don't know, that's way down the future for
Yeah,
sure. So I think first step is like, what me and you are talking about is just, small, just get one at a time. But I don't know, seeing the big pictures, I think is a good idea.
yeah.
So,
That's what I'm kind of like in the analysis paralysis stage right now.
mm,
Not really, because like I'm not afraid to jump in. Obviously, I'm waiting on my bonus, but
mhm.
my biggest thing right now is I'm trying to figure out the what kind of property I want to be looking for right now,
Yeah,
and because I want to narrow it down, but then part of me is like, well, shit, if you find a good deal, you just find a good deal.
I
But then
think
it's like,
it's
I don't know.
I think it's good to find something that you're interested in, like a niche, a little niche,
Yeah,
and focus on that. Because I mean, if you're looking at multifamilies and you're looking at Airbnbs and you're looking at single and all these other things and you're looking at different areas, you're just getting pulled too many directions, and you're
yeah,
just never going to find anything that is actually going to work, because it's just it's just too random. So like basically like what I knew I wanted to do is, once I decided I wanted to sell that property in Wilmington, I was like, okay, well, what do I want to spend that money on? And I was like, all right, I really want to get into Airbnb. And then I was like, all right, well, where do I want to do my Airbnb? And then I looked all in like the Wilmington area, North Carolina, those areas there, and everything was just way too expensive. So I kept looking further down south. I saw like more reasonable prices in Myrtle. And then we started doing our research there. We like got in contact with a real estate agent. He wasn't very good, so we let him go. We stopped working with him. Got a referral for our agent that we're working with currently, and she's awesome. And then we booked to see like 6 places down there. And then we went and viewed them. And then when we viewed them, we just drove up and down the coast to get more familiar with the area, drove around all the streets. And then also too, we just so we learned more about our area, got a better idea of what we wanted. And another thing too is we found several homes that we really liked. And but there's different like taxes and stuff too. So like if it's actually on the waterfront, like one of the canals, the taxes are like 5 grand more a year, which is basically like all of your profit that you're going to make. So like we found that out. Um, just like little weird things that you won't find out until you're actually viewing homes, looking up tax records,
Yeah.
calling people. And even right now, like I probably won't be able to buy anything this year, but like I still get my listings from my agent. And like just yesterday, I found something that looked appealing, and it's an Airbnb currently. So I texted my agent. I told her like, hey, can you send me their P&L sheet, for their Airbnb? So she sent me that over, and I need to dive into it deeper, but just constantly doing research. You know what I mean? Like getting an idea of what people are making. And then also too, the entire time me and Mike were on Airbnb looking at dates, looking at like comparable properties, trying to get an idea of how much money these other comparable properties are actually making, and trying to get other P&L statements.
Hmm.
So
So you can, you can technically get up to 10 mortgages. The only thing hindering you right now is your debt to income ratio, you were saying?
yeah, exactly. It makes it tough because one, you get really good tax write-offs with owning real estate, so it shows that you don't make a lot of money. And then so yeah, it's showing that you're taking a loss on your property usually. And another thing too is I'm also, the properties that I'm buying are fixer uppers. So I'm putting a lot of money into those, and you get to write all that off. Like, I mean, not all of it, but you get to write off, a fair amount of stuff. So just with all the write-offs and stuff, it just shows I don't make any money. So it makes
Yeah.
it harder just to get approved for stuff.
Hmm.
But it's a good thing. I mean, especially if you're making good money, it's nice to have, because that's another thing too. I mean, you can, how I have my stuff is it's considered a disregarded entity, so it just flows into my personal. So those write-offs I get to write off in my personal tax return.
What's it called? A disregarded entity?
Yeah, I'm not like an expert on LLCs, but basically just single member LLCs. Instead of having like a business return and a personal return, I just have one tax return. So it's just a single member LLC. Then how you do your taxes on it, it's just considered a disregarded entity, and it just flows into your personal.
Hmm.
So like your income and your loss flows into your personal. So, but like say like you own a business, like a small business, you're gonna have, like Mike's a chiropractor. He's gonna have his chiropractor business, so he's gonna have a personal return, and he's gonna have his business return.
All right. Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, so there's a lot of benefits of owning real estate. Taxes are huge. The tax benefits of owning real
That's,
estate,
yeah.
really nice.
Nice.
But yeah, that's awesome. I don't know, but the biggest thing is just like what you're interested in. So I mean, the biggest problem I would see, like, what do you really want? Like, are you looking for what, like 2 to 10 units? Is that what you want? Like, you've always been kind of into multifamily.
Yeah. So this next one, I really want 2 to 4 units to
That's
be.
what, okay. Well, then
Yeah.
if that's what you want, then that's what you should do. So if that's what interests you the most, the only thing around it is you're going to have to start brainstorming. I mean, we can just do that on the next call too. We can start brainstorming and doing research on loans. I've called a lot of people though. It's you're going to have to put 25% down if you're willing to do that, or you're going to have to find someone that's what I just said, do a commercial loan, find someone that's like a mom and pop or something, someone that you think has a lot of equity in the home, and have them carry part of the loan. So, and you have to, like, another thing is having a good agent too, because if an agent isn't like familiar with like, creative financing or commercial financing, because I mean, it's pretty common in commercial real estate to do like what we were talking about, you know what I mean? Having a seller carry part of the loan,
Yeah.
but they have to either own the property outright, or they have to have like a huge amount of equity. But basically the agent has to explain it to the seller why it's a good deal for them. So, and it's a good deal for them too, like, you know, it all depends on the property. But basically, like, say you find, you can offer them over asking too, which makes it really appealing. So say you find, like a decent, we'll call it a fiveplex, right? a decent fiveplex. You know what I mean? It's probably going to be like a B type property. It's probably not going to be like A, right? Or like, what are you looking at? Are you looking for something to kind of fix up? Or are you looking for something really nice?
No, I want like C or B.
C or B? Yeah, you don't want C. C is like Section 8. I mean, I could be
Just
completely wrong at that. I don't know commercial
around
stuff,
here
but
that are, if you can get in early, you can get
Mhm.
like a C property, and it'll be like there's just so much going on in this area right now.
Yeah, I guess you just don't want to be in a C area. If you can get like a C property in like a B area, it'd be nice.
I would say I'm in a C area.
No,
You don't think?
no, dude.
Dude, you go one street over, it's like
No,
not
you live in a nice area.
where. No, what did we call the apartment? Hood
Hood
adjacent.
adjacent. Yeah, you're not hood. I don't know. I'm not from. I haven't been around there, but I've definitely seen rougher areas. Your area is pretty nice. I would say you're like a B plus area. At least your little community you're at is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's
So
nice.
yeah, I mean Google C areas for apartments. They're rough. They're not
Well, I've
good.
looked at some C areas like around Orlando, and it's real rough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would stick to like at least a B area. You can get I mean, still though, another thing too with like multifamily and you're buying like a fixer upper is it's way harder than a single family just because especially if there's tenants in there to do the rehab, but like there's a few things to look at. Like having the units metered separately is really important because I mean, you could get a property and if you're paying for utilities, I mean, you could lose all of your profit right there.
Yeah.
So I think, maybe once you become an expert in it, it'd be better to buy. I mean, you could buy properties that aren't metered separately, but I think, as being your first one, or I mean, I'm just thinking about me personally. Like if what I was going to do, I probably wouldn't buy, it'd be tough. I don't know. I'd have to think about it, but I would rather not buy a property that's not metered separately. And a lot of those old like C, B, like I mean, not B, but those C like multifamily properties, a lot of them aren't metered separately. You know what I mean? And then they just need a lot of work. And there's just like I don't know, how do you make them? How do you pretty them up too? A lot of them, it's just like you're looking at like $100,000 worth of work. It's just really expensive. And then just turning it around, changing the reputation.
Did you
Uh,
look at hard money loans on any of your deals?
yeah, that one that I paid all cash for, I was actually going to do a hard money loan on that, but that's super risky because you're under a time constraint on
What was
that.
it
You're
the
paying.
time? Was it under a year?
Yeah, but that's not really the thing. It's just like the time constraint is the contractors. Like getting an actual good contractor, especially if you haven't worked with someone before. Like I've had a nightmare for ever since I've been doing this with contractors. I've had to fire multiple contractors. The just in Wilmington, like I've had to have three different people go and do the same exact job because the first person does it wrong, like,
Yeah.
and the second person does it wrong. So it's just, yeah, that's the biggest thing. So, and then another thing with these hard money people is they make it really hard. It's not like a line of credit where they like, you have $100,000 project, they just give you 100,000, they don't. Like they have like
Like
a
hidden
draws.
costs. Yeah.
Yeah, draws. And
What was
yeah,
your interest rate? Was it over 10?
yeah, I was like 12. Like I didn't end up doing it. I called a few people and I mean, I'm sure it's great for people that have like a good fix and flip business, but man, I couldn't do it. I'm glad I didn't do it. I would have gone bankrupt on it. So, plus it's just like you're losing so much money and interest and there's a lot of hidden fees
Well,
too that they
I,
have.
I was talking to my aunt, and she actually acted as my agent on this property, and she was saying she would act as a hard money lender, lump sum upfront, no draws,
See, that's
and
not bad.
and do it for 10%.
That's not bad. Yeah.
But then, like you get $100,000 hard money loan at 10%.
She interest only.
So we didn't get that far, but
Hmm.
just just do the math on that. Fuck, you're breaking even after you take that into account.
Yeah, you got to put that into account, but that's actually that's a pretty good deal though. That's nice having the private money lump sum. But yeah, 100,000 at 10%. What? My calculator's terrible.
It's
Um,
$1,000.
It's what?
Uh,
10,000 divided by 12. Yeah, it's only $833 a month, interest only. So, I mean, that's a pretty good. That's pretty good. I would do that. I would do something like that, but you need to have all your ducks in a row first. Like have vetted contractors. You got to be really, really proactive instead of reactive. And you have to have, because it's a nightmare. Dealing with contractors is an absolute nightmare. So it's worth paying someone more money, like a contractor, even if it's like 10, 20,000 more than someone else for like, 30,000 more for the total project. So, than having someone that's not good. Like,
you
yeah,
think those hard money, private money deals like that, they only work on flips?
I think you have to be pretty. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not my personality isn't for fix and flips either. I'm like, I'm a long term buy and hold. I'm like a hoarder. I like to keep stuff. So I just
Yeah,
don't have.
I don't want to flip, but I was just thinking how,
No,
like,
they have them. I've called a lot of those lenders and stuff. They have programs, the same ones that do, fix and flips. They do the same thing, like the Burr strategy. They offer all different types of loan packages. They'll even offer long-term loans, but you're getting a way higher interest rate. Those people are usually for people that are self-employed, because it's really hard to get a conventional loan if you're self-employed from like through a bank, and also for people that have terrible credit scores. So those are because you're paying a premium by using those hard money people. It's because like you can go to and I actually had this on my notes too. I don't know anything about SBA loans, but that's definitely something I want to start researching, because instead of doing like a hard money loan or doing a HELOC, why not just do an SBA loan or a personal loan or a personal line of credit or a business credit or a business loan or a business line of credit. So I don't know anything about those, but that's like the next thing I want to like dive deep into and start calling bankers about, because a lot of them are up to like $100,000. You're getting like a 6 or 8%. I think I'm sure several of them offer interest only loans. But the hardest part is, I think they look at your debt to income ratio on how much they'll approve for you. But I don't know. I heard SBA loans might be the way to go. I think Mike was talking about that a lot. I think you can actually even buy a home with an SBA loan. That's what I'm saying. Like the real thing to get into is the commercial side. I was talking to one of my like a guy I kind of know, like an acquaintance. He's a realtor in Durham, and he's got a relationship with a banker. He's buying all of these like $100,000 homes on with a commercial loan through the banker because he's got a relationship, and he's got a line of credit to fix them up. So he's got like a line of credit. So I mean, there's like these smaller local banks, they'll do stuff like that. They'll get creative to where you can buy a fixer upper, they'll fund the project, and after you're done, they'll finance it on, a long term, well, maybe not long term, but yeah, like, a long, like a 20-year amortization loan, and you can clump them all together. So he finds another one, he just adds it to that loan package. So so that's really the way to go if you really want to grow and expand, is it's more commercial, especially like multifamily. If you're looking at, stuff like that, it's definitely like commercial's the way to go. But if you're just trying to get in like, like little hacks, like, for like putting less money down, then the residential's nice because you're getting a 30-year fix, you're getting a lower interest rate, and 10% down is way better than 25% down, or 3.5 to 5% down for an owner occupant's way better than 25% down. So I like that model where you just buy a home every single year and you just move out every year and just keep buying a home at 5% down.
Well, that leads me to my last question, and then I got to hop off for tonight, dude. But
Yeah,
um,
same.
have you, like, I've been reading a lot on since COVID, there's been a demographic shift where people want to get out of apartments and move to single family homes where they have more space. So you agree with that? And then if that is true, wouldn't it be better to buy single family rentals because that's what the market now wants? They want, from people being locked up in their houses, they want places with space. So was a shift to single family homes with more space.
I think so they've been saying that forever. Like me and you are both millennials. We grew up, and I'm sure like you've always wanted to live in a house, right? Or did you just want to live in an apartment? I think everyone that I know,
It's like acres.
yeah, exactly. Every single person I know, they all wanted a home. It's just that we graduated college during the Great like recession in 2008. We all had, well, I mean, I didn't have a ton of student loans, but a lot of people had like hundreds of $1,000s of student loans. We couldn't get jobs. Nobody was hiring. So like most people either had to live with like 8 roommates or they had to move back in with their parents. So like nobody had any buying of ability for like 10 years. And I mean, we went through like the slowest like comeback ever. I mean, the economy didn't really come back full swing until like it started picking up 2016, but really didn't hit stride until 2018. And then it just skyrocketed. You know what I mean? Inflation went way up. Salaries went a lot higher. And that's when you really started seeing a lot of the millennials. And the millennials were hitting more of like that 30 demographic, and they were able to buy homes. But the entire time that we were in college and graduating college, all these, financial analysts and stuff, they're like, oh, the millennials just aren't interested in buying homes or blah, blah, blah. And they missed the whole thing. It's that we didn't want to buy homes. It's that we couldn't. You know what I mean? So if
Yeah.
you look at it right now, it's people have buying power, like because of inflation, like everyone like quitting their jobs and getting different jobs and getting $100,000 pay increase. Like that's the biggest thing right now is, and then all these people that own homes too, having $100,000 of equity and then buying even more or buying secondary homes, and then also Wall Street buying up all these homes and stuff too. So I think COVID did do a thing for, especially in like San Francisco and New York, where people are paying a premium to live in an atmosphere where you're getting like culture, like food and bars and restaurants and nightlife. They want to move somewhere else, or they're getting to that age where they want to buy a home. But I think people always want to live in a home. Like nobody, not very, I'd say the majority of the people don't want to live in an apartment forever. You know what I mean? There's always
Yeah.
going to be a need for both, though. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't think I mean, there's a huge housing shortage, like supply and demand. We're going to have a housing shortage for years, because I mean, it's too expensive to build. It's just yeah, it's people don't want to sell right now because they're locked into great interest rates. um yeah, it's just there's just a huge single family shortage, and there's no way that they're going to fix it, and it's probably going to take like 10 years. So that's just not going to happen.
Hmm.
So yeah, they screwed up. That was I want to look into Biden's infrastructure bill too. So he's got a bunch of plans in there for like affordable housing, building, supply chain issues, stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see. One thing, HUD. I don't know if they changed this, like, and they're still doing this, but I know when I bought my first home, like in Grand Junction, the second one I bought was a HUD home. HUD goes in there and they'll buy like a foreclosure, and they'll go and like put paint and new carpet and stuff and make it like decent, and they'll sell it. And a lot of those HUD homes at the time I was buying, they would only the first 30-day window would only go to owner occupants. Investors couldn't buy. So it's really, really nice. And I mean, I think that's a great program. Like they should have stuff like that. And that makes a lot more sense because all these people in Wall Street, people like me and you trying to buy investment properties, it forces a lot of people out of the market, which
That's
is
still a
wrong. What's that?
that's still a program.
I don't know if it is, but I was reading a little article saying that was a thing in Biden's infrastructure bill to help out with affordable homes. That it was, I don't know what the infrastructure bill says, but it was saying that HUD was going to have like I think they have like 1 million homes right now, or they're going to get 1 million, and right now they only have like 100,000 or something. But that was in the bill or something they were talking about. Having HUD homes offered to owner occupants or low income people before opening up to the rest of the market, which
That's
stuff like
cool.
that makes complete sense to me. But, you know, putting like price caps and different stuff like that, messing with the free market is dumb. But
Yeah.
so I don't know. I really don't know anything about it, but it'll be interesting to see. I'd like to read into that infrastructure bill or talk to someone that knows something about it. Would be interesting. But
Yeah.
no, I think there's going to be a need. I can't remember what I saw recently. I think it was like a bigger pockets, like little short thing, but he was saying it's just a supply and demand issue. Like they're not going to build 3 million homes, in the next, year or whatever. We're so short on stuff. There's no way that we'll ever have enough homes in the next 5 years for the demand that people need.
That bigger pocket article I sent you the other day was saying it's same thing. It's like
It was the same guy. I listened to his video, yeah. And I read
guy.
the article too, yeah. Same guy, yeah. He's like their analytics guy, like and I agree with everything that he says. Like that's exactly how I feel. Like everything, like I watch like his little 10-minute videos or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, and he says the exact same thing. He's just like the supply and demand issue, like all the factors that are going to go into stuff. It's just like there's not going to be a dip. And what's crazy too is like the last 2 years, like since 2020, it's the prices have gone up at least like 20%, like everywhere. So even if there is like a 10% dip, it's still prices have still gone up like what, like 30-40% more than they were 2 years ago. So like all these people they're like, oh, right now is not a good time to buy. If you can buy something right now, and it's like a fair price, you're good with it, you should buy something right now. Like
Yeah.
everyone that's waiting to buy is going to miss out because prices aren't going to, even if they drop 10%, that's still like nothing. You know what I mean? What's 10%? That's nothing. So like you're still paying $100,000 more than you could have 2 years ago. And people have been saying this forever. They're like, oh, I'm waiting for there's not going to be a housing crash. There, like you can see like housing is like it's flattening out. Like people just aren't paying $50,000 over asking,
Right.
but prices aren't going to come down. There's too many factors. They're just going to level out to where they should be. So, but yeah, I mean, they might not, we're not going to maybe not see 18% growth, which is a good thing. I mean, housing's supposed to keep up with inflation. So inflation, the Fed wants like 3.5%, housing should grow, 3 to 5% a year is what you should see.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Nice. Well, dude, I like this. Let's make this a weekly thing.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, those would be really good. And we can brainstorm some more topics. I'd like to get into SBA loans next time. We can brainstorm some more ideas because I'm cash poor as well, and I need some more cash to do all the things I need to do. So,
Yeah.
and I'm also looking at that as well. What's that?
I wrote down notes that we can do for the next call too.
Awesome. Cool, man.
I,
Can you save this video and then I don't know, send it to me
all
or upload on YouTube or something?
right, let me stop recording it.
Yeah, just go ahead and stop then. All right, see you, man.
All right, dude, later.
Later.